Hey everyone, Lewis aka Spider-Man 991 here with another review request. This was requested by A Meyer 93 who wanted me to do a review on the animated movie Son of Batman. Alright, so for this animated movie, the plot is basically after Deathstroke kills Ra's al Ghul and leads a coup and takes over the League of Assassins, Talia al Ghul, Ra's daughter, has to take her son to Gotham City to meet his father, Batman. Now, Batman tries to train his son Damian to be prepared in case Deathstroke attacks, but also he wants to help curb the boy's bloodlust, because right when he arrives, he wants to immediately want to find Deathstroke and kill him for killing his grandfather. And moving on to what I did and what I didn't like about it. Pros. I like the voice casting of this movie. Honestly, DC does amazing work with their animated movies with who to cast and what voice, and most of the time it is very brilliant and well cast. Another thing I liked was the portrayal of Damian Wayne in this movie. This is Damian's first appearance in the DC animated movie universe, which they kind of have building with the recent animated Batman movies and Justice League movies. And I honestly like Damian's first appearance in this universe better than the mainstream comics, because in the original story arc, Batman and Son, Damian is really spoiled. Like, immediately when he gets to the Batcave, he starts trying to fight Batman. Then when Alfred shows him his room, he immediately just starts throwing stuff around, saying like it's not big enough, he wants a computer. Batman has to basically yell at him. So, really, imagine Batman is your dad and he has to yell at you. Honestly, I don't know how that kid didn't shit his pants. But moving on, back to the movie, this version of Damian is a lot more mature. He's less spoiled. There are times where he is a little surprised, like when he first arrives at the Batcave and he meets Alfred, and he asks, like, where are the other servants? And Alfred says he's the only one who works the manor. He's a little surprised because Bruce only has one servant, although Bruce corrects him and says Alfred is a friend. But the level of bloodlust between the comic Damian and movie Damian is about even, I would say. In this case, in the comic, Damian isn't brought to Batman's attention because someone killed Ra's and Talia, needs to hide him. In this case, it did happen, and Damian immediately wants to go after him and kill Deathstroke, but Batman has to make sure that he doesn't go down this path, and the best way to fighting crime isn't to try to become a criminal yourself. Moving on to things that I didn't like about this movie. Now, first of all, the original story arc, Batman and Son, the only thing this movie takes from this is the basic premise, which is Talia reveals to Batman, hey, we had a kid, here he is, go take him to Gotham and train him for a bit. That's really the only thing the comic and the movie have in common. Also, unlike the comic, though, the only former Robin we see in the movie is Dick Grayson. And in the comic, though, the current Robin is still Tim Drake. And, of course, when he initially meets Damian, Tim tries to be friendly. Damian acts like a little brat. Then later, Damian beats Tim into practically a near death, and takes the Robin tunic that was worn from the Jason Todd Memorial, and basically tries to usurp the position of Robin from Tim by basically beating him up, because the comics Damian lacks any social skills. I kind of think it's weird that we have Nightwing in this movie, but there is no mention of Jason Todd or Tim Drake. Now, they could have easily substituted Tim for Nightwing in this movie by having Tim in his Red Robin identity, which would explain why there's a vacant Robin suit, but also because of the death of Jason Todd. Or they could have still kept Nightwing and still have the Robin suit hung and still bring up that it was Jason's Robin suit. And this really could have been another reason why Bruce doesn't want to put Damian in the field with him, because he's too concerned what happened to Jason could happen to his son. I think that could have added a whole other layer to the movie, which would have been really interesting to explore. And especially since this version of Damian that we're getting in the movie is much more level-headed, and even though he is quick to immediately using lethal force. He still has some strategy in him and doesn't just go headfirst into most situations. Okay, and the main thing that I did not like about this movie is the choice of Deathstroke as the main antagonist. I mean, honestly, the way they portray Deathstroke in this movie, how he basically takes the League from Ra's al Ghul, because apparently in this universe, Deathstroke was supposed to be Ra's heir, but then Talia met Batman, they had a kid, and then Deathstroke got rejected, and then he decides to come back later and take revenge. Also, by the way, I want to point out that Deathstroke has both eyes at the beginning of this movie. He only loses an eye to Damian after he kills Ra's, which I think is just, come on, you could have at least had him lose an eye before showing up. I mean, really, I think this was just a lame attempt to try to tie Deathstroke into more of the Batman universe and make him more of a Batman villain, which is just, it really doesn't work. And besides, also, how can you have Nightwing and Deathstroke in the same movie and they don't even fight? There's no interaction between Nightwing and Deathstroke, which I really hate, because I think Deathstroke is more of a Nightwing and Titans villain than a Batman villain. And oh yeah, he doesn't even fight Batman in this movie either. No, Deathstroke mainly fights Ra's al Ghul and also Damian at the end. That's really it in terms of big fights. Also, I really think that instead of Deathstroke, they could have used Bane, and that probably would have worked out more. Really, it really could have worked out more, because in the comics, Bane is actually considered Ra's heir when he meets the League of Assassins, and Ra's even has Bane betrothed to Talia, and Talia doesn't like him, so she gets Batman to come and kick Bane's ass and get him out of the league. All that happened in the comics, though, but it would still be, I think Bane would still be a better choice than Deathstroke for this movie. And that's it, and that's basically what I liked, what I didn't like. Overall, I would say if you are a Damian Wayne fan, you're going to like this movie. If you're someone who's heard a lot about Damian Wayne, but you don't have time to read the comics, then you should definitely see this movie, especially since Damian is the current Robin, still in DC in current continuity right now. Also, if you aren't really a big fan of Damian's first appearance in the comics, like I was, I mean, when he started out, he was very spoiled and very annoying, but as time grew on, Damian became a better character. Well, in this case, he kind of is already at that halfway point where he is a bit more mature than his comic book counterpart was at the beginning, so I think that's also a good reason to check out this movie. So that's what I thought of Son of Batman. What did you guys think of that movie? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any more requests, love to hear those too. Thanks again for watching. I'm Spider-Man 991 saying see you later.